Jordan Rains here with the IDP 411 podcast. Just want to tell you guys today about our sponsor of the show, expandtheboxscore.com. Expandtheboxscore.com has premium NFL and college football stats. They're adaptable, they're affordable, there's all kinds of great stuff on there from the NFL to college football. It's great for people that are in the Devy leagues looking to get that edge over their league mates. So go check out expandtheboxscore.com, proud sponsor of the show. And now, without further ado, on to the IDP 411.
What's up? This is Jarod Gray with my co-host Jordan Rains, IDP 411. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How you doing?
I'm good, bro.
Yeah. Ready to chop it up, talk some IDP and all that goodness?
Always, dude. I'm excited about this one. We hadn't even looked at each other's lists for defensive backs until like just before this. So
I know.
It's gonna be interesting.
Some similarities, some differences, but a lot of the usual suspects, or at least at the top end, I feel like, the guys you can count on. But we're gonna do our top 10 Dynasty defensive back rankings today on the show, guys. IDP Army. As always, we appreciate you coming out, listening, following along. And the NFL draft is coming up next week. How you feeling about that? You getting a little anxious, getting a little excited?
Bro, you know me. I love the draft. I probably watched Draft Day every year since it came out, the movie.
Yeah.
On the day before the draft, just to give me a little hump, like just
get you there.
Oh, bro, I love the draft. I mean, I used to do like 10, 12, 15 mock drafts just to get myself messing around in different scenarios. This year's been crazy because free agency was bonkers. So, yeah, I'm about the NFL draft, man. I can't wait.
Yeah, for real. Guys, check out expandtheboxscore.com. I know Andy Singleton's got a new mock coming out before the draft's coming up this next week, and we'll have some more content going up on the site, draft-related, IDP-related, Devy-related. Shout out to the Devy Delight. But, yeah, I guess let's just go ahead and let's just dive right into these top 10 defensive back rankings for Dynasty. Our first one, our number one, and probably no surprise to anybody, is Jamal Adams. Safety for the New York Jets. Calls himself the president, @Prez on Twitter. If you want to get some realness, follow him.
He's hilarious too.
Yeah, dude, he gets it. But I mean, it's no surprise really. I mean, he had 115 combined tackles last year in 16 games. This year in 14 games, he had 75 combined tackles, 10 tackles for loss this year, 9-9 the two previous seasons. I mean, those are some big numbers right there.
How many sacks did he have?
He had 6.5 sacks this year. That is that's an eye popper right there.
Do we got that graphic?
Let me see. Here we go. That'll show anybody that's watching on YouTube or on Periscope. That's everything that we got. But 6.5 sacks at defensive back. That's points you don't count on, but you love to see, right?
Oh, heck yeah, dude. And I mean, he's so good, dude. He's just, I don't care what anybody says. He knows he's that good. He knows he should be paid like the best safety in the league. And I don't know why he's not, but it's going to happen. So,
yeah. Well, and you just think about the leadership things that he's able to do. He's a one-man wrecking machine. He can take over a game. He has like that Troy Polamalu thing going on for him. And he's just a total game changer, a total playmaker. He's got the swag, and I mean, 2 16-game seasons. This year he played 14 games, and he went out and played after he got hurt this year when the Jets didn't have anything to play for really. So he's a team guy. I love him. I mean, he's somebody that I've tried to actively get on some of my Dynasty startup drafts this year just because I don't think there's anything still but more upside. He doesn't just get tackles. Like you said, he had, 39 points this year in IDP 1, 2, 3 scoring were from sacks. Like that's kind of like he's like a Darius Leonard type where it's like he's going to get you points on top of the points you're expecting, and I just love it.
Big on tackles, big playability. That's why he's the number one. And it's not just number one this year. He's number one for years to come. That's why he's a Dynasty number one. And consensus between both of us. And like I said, we didn't even look at each other's list until right before this. So,
yep.
Pretty easy.
Easy money there with the Prez. All right, well, let's go on to number 2. I guess we'll do your number 2 first. Jared's number 2, top 10 defensive back for Dynasty is the man who came in and blew the league up 2 years ago, Derwin James.
Yeah, I'm big on Derwin James. 3.5 sacks, 6 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss, 105 total tackles, 13 pass deflections, and 3 interceptions. I said a long time ago he was one of the best all-around just athletes coming into a draft. And him and Isaiah Simmons get a lot of comparisons in the aspect that you just don't know what they're going to do with Isaiah Simmons because Derwin James is that much of a freak athlete. But one and the other, Derwin James is meant to play safety. He can cover on the back end. He has phenomenal range and great catching ability. To where Isaiah Simmons is more the linebacker mold to me. You know, watching as much tape as I have, he's more of a downhill guy. Derwin James, the reason why he's number 2 in my dynasty, he's young. I get that he got injured last year. But if I get close to 100 tackles from him the next 4 years, who moves past him at number 2? It's hard for me. He has so much big playability, and he's such a sure tackler. He reminds me so much of young Budda Baker, but he's faster. I mean, let's get this twisted. Budda Baker's one of the fastest players in the NFL, but Derwin James is young. So,
yeah, 3.5 sacks that rookie season, 3 interceptions. I mean, talk about the big play. You know, and this last year, people, forget he did play 5 games this last year. And he did play 100% of snaps in a few of them. So he ended up with 34 total tackles, 23 solo, 3 tackles for loss. You know, if you compare that to his rookie season, he had 4 tackles for loss and 16 games. So he didn't lose a step this last year. Maybe the big plays didn't fall his way. But if you're sleeping on Derwin James or you're burying Derwin James waiting to see something, you must be forgetting what you saw. You know what I mean?
He's still on pace for 80 tackles.
Oh, yeah. Well, he was going to be – he was basically pushing into 100 tackle range, if he, pacing, whatever you want to call it. But he only got to play the end of the season. So, and they probably didn't make him do quite as much because the Chargers season was pretty much a wash from the get.
Yep.
So that's number 2 for Jarod. My number 2 is Budda Baker, the safety off of the Arizona Cardinals. If anybody follows me, you know that I love Budda Baker. He was one of my guys coming into the season last year. People were like, oh, he's not going to be able to repeat a 100-tackle season, blah, 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 blah. Dude comes out and has 147 combined tackles, had 104 solo tackles. He was basically defensive back 2 in almost every single format this last year because the Arizona Cardinals don't have any linebackers. So Budda Baker is swallowing up tackles. He's getting picked on by the opposing team's tight end. So he's getting pass deflections and all that good stuff. 147 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. I wish he'd been behind the line of scrimmage a little more for that. 7 tackles for loss still, though, not bad. And to me, he's one of the best safeties in the league. All respect in the world to Derwin James. But, I love watching Budda Baker play football. And to think that the Arizona Cardinals had Tyrann Mathieu, and then when he left, they got Budda Baker. They went from an epic player to an epic player. I don't know what you want to say. They're both savages. They both love to hit people, and they're both smart. They're both fast. Budda Baker is not exactly an imposing physical form, but when he's on the field, he hits like a defensive end. So
he's the real deal. Look what he did to George Kittle. That was one of the best matches to watch all season long.
Yeah. So, George Kittle got the better of him a couple of times, but Budda Baker was up for the challenge, and Kittle could have had a much larger night than he did have. So, kudos to both of them on a great game. But that's my defensive back 2, and then like I said, Jared's defensive back 2 was Derwin James. We're going to go ahead and slide down into number 3. Number 3 for Jarod is actually Budda Baker. Anything you want to add about Budda Baker for anybody out there?
No, man. Like I said, he's as good as they come. I think he's one of the best players in the league. I think he's one of the fastest players in the league. And I look at 6 pass deflections and really should have been more than that. A forced fumble. I honestly thought he had more than that. He played all 16 games. He had 2 quarterback hits. It's just one of those things. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, anybody that's getting 147 tackles in any IDP league is going to be money in the bank. So I don't
bro,
know.
you take 147 tackles out of your number one LB.
Oh yeah. I mean, you
You know what
might
I mean?
get that from the number one linebacker in a year. So I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's going to repeat it, but I would say if there was a defensive back you could count on to get you 100 tackles next season, I would be betting on Budda Baker. So
I'm
I
with
guess
you.
so. That's Jerry's number 3. My number 2. We'll slide on down to the next guy on our list, who is for me Landon Collins at number 3, and this is Jared's number 4. What's not to love about Landon Collins? You know, coming out of Alabama, he originally was with the Giants, and the Giants kind of messed around, you know, and he went to Washington, and he has been a great player. I mean, he had a great season this last year. Played 15 games, 117 tackles, 3 quarterback hits, 9 tackles for loss, 4 pass deflections, and 2 forced fumbles. I mean, he was basically their linebacker one, you know, when you really think about it. I mean, with all these tackles and all the stuff he was getting done. But what are your thoughts?
Dude, I love Landon Collins. I mean, for a lot of people, he was the consensus number one, 2 years ago? And
Yep.
for me, I still love him. I like you said, I know he's in my top 10. I love him at number 3 for you. He could very easily be a number 1 for a lot of people, especially on a team that's going to be on the field a lot. Do I expect him to be that much better offensively? No, until they get some better offensive line help. I like Daniel Jones. Saquon Barkley is, without a doubt, going to be your top 3 running back taken. Some people is the consensus number 1. Some people's number 2. But Landon Collins is going to be on the field. Think about that. He gets another game. We're talking another 7 tackles at least. So
he could push it over 120. He's only gone under 100 tackles once in 5 years in the league, and that was a
makes feel good.
That was a 96 tackle season. So you can't have Landon Collins outside of your top 5 dynasty defensive backs, in my opinion. I don't know what else you want. I mean, he's the model of consistency. He has a couple of big plays every year. You know, he's good for 3 or 4 pass deflections. He's had all the way up to 13. He had a 4-sack season, but that's been a while back. But I mean, again, what more do you want from a guy than 100 tackles? I mean, sign me up. And you're going to get him a little cheaper than you will some of these guys like Jamal Adams, Budda Baker, you know, or Derwin James. I almost guarantee you'll get Landon Collins, you know, 3, 4 line or defensive backs after that. So that's money in the bank for me. Solid player. And that was
like
mine.
We both agree. Our number 1 is Jamal Adams. I know somebody's asking about that. Number 1 for both of us, Jamal Adams. Number 2 is a little different. I went Derwin James. You went who?
Budda Baker.
Budda Baker, which, let's be real, dude's ridiculous. Number 3 for me was
Budda Baker.
Budda Baker. And then number 3 for you is
Landon Collins,
who is for real. I mean, so far, love the list. It's pretty fun.
And my number 4 comes in at Derwin James, who we talked about earlier. You know, so they're in our top 4. We basically have all the exact same guys, just a little bit different order. But he's a big play waiting to happen. I don't have any faith in the Chargers offense to really, you know, control the game, control the snap, you know, just control the pace. I just feel like this Chargers defense is going to get off the field, and then it's going to be a 3 and out, and they're going to go right back out there again. I feel like that's at least how this season is going to start. I feel like Derwin James is going to have a little chip on his shoulder because he missed most of last season. So, you know, like we said earlier, we saw the big play ability early in his career. We saw still even last year after being injured, coming back and being productive. So, like you said, there's nothing not to love about Derwin James. And honestly, he might creep up into that top 2 or 3, you know, in the next year. So, I mean, he's a top 5 for both of us right now.
Another big year.
So we'll have to see, too. It'll be interesting to see how the Chargers decide to handle their linebacker position. You know, if they do just have faith in the safeties to make some of these tackles and not invest in that position in the draft early, or if they do decide to get them a little help, you know, since Thomas Davis is gone and Jatavis Brown is gone, not that he did anything last year. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pops off. But Derwin James, definitely a solid guy. Let's go ahead and move on to our number 5 guy, which this is the same for both of us. This is a dude that I love. I was banging the drum for a little bit last offseason. because the potential was there, and you see him make the plays in college. He was one of the best college football athletes, basically that I've ever seen. I don't watch a lot of college football, but I did know that he was special when I was watching him play, and that is Jabril Peppers. This is a safety for the New York Giants. He came in to take over when Landon Collins left. He played in 11 games this last year, had 76 total tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 5 pass deflections, an interception. I'm pretty sure he returned for a touchdown, and he also had 2 quarterback hits. He did get nicked up a little bit towards the end of the year. I was kind of bummed because he was a top 5 defensive back pretty much the entire season until he got hurt. He was getting it done in tackles for loss, pass deflections. He was just getting it done all over the place. So it was tough to see him go down, but going forward,
like you said, man, 7 tackles a game, average.
Yeah.
Okay. Bro, that's ridiculous. Consider we got another 5 games out of him. He could have been right in the top 3 easily.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about 2018 for him, in 16 games he had 79 tackles. He had 76 this year in 11 games. So he was pacing to go over 100 tackles for sure. I mean, he was having one of the best, basically the best season of his career. It's a bummer that, he got a little banged up, but going forward, I love him. College prospect. I mean, you can talk about his college production a little bit more. He was all over. He was Isaiah Simmons, right? Like that's.
Well, he was the number 1 recruit in the country coming out of high school. Some people had him number 2, number 3. A lot of comparison to Charles Woodson coming out of high school. He returned kicks for the Browns. He returned kicks in college. He's dynamic. Phenomenal range, great speed, good eye for the ball. He could, if he stays healthy, can be in the same Jamal Adams talk. I mean, the tackles for loss is there. The pass deflections are there. The quarterback hits are there, which means the sacks are possible. 76 total tackles. That means we're talking almost 7.7 tackles a game, or almost.
I mean, that's huge.
So
floor.
The floor is phenomenal. So he's one of those guys. It'll be interesting once Jamal Adams comes off the board, how quick the next 4 come off the board.
All right, let's talk. Let's get into this a little bit. So a lot of people are mocking Isaiah Simmons to the Giants at 4. What do you think about Jabril Peppers and Isaiah Simmons on the field at the same time? Do you think that is just big play waiting to happen? Or do you think that hurts maybe some of the box safety stuff? Do you think they move them in and out? I see Steve in the background, thumbs down, guys, just in case. He's like, no.
So here's what I say with this, and I know that I'm kind of sticking with the aspect of if Isaiah Simmons drops to number 4, maybe.
That's where a lot of people have him going. I mean, it seems to be Burrow, Chase Young, Okudah, and then Isaiah Simmons and Tua. That's pretty much what everybody just slaps into their top 5.
So I'm telling you right now, I'm hearing a lot of talk, and not just me. This, I have said from the get-go, I think that Miami trades up. And here's the thing, to 3, to 2 actually. And now I'm hearing that the Bengals aren't interested in Burrow anymore.
That's bull. I don't believe that.
I'm hearing not just from small get-go. I'm talking
real people.
Real people. I mean, 2 NFL players have actually told me hey, and one of them's on the Bengals. I'm just not going to reach his name out. Said that, hey, I don't know if we're going to go here.
We'll see.
So, which tells you one thing. Burrow's still going to be available at 2.
Maybe.
Unless they trade out of number 1. But tell me this. If you think you got the right deal coming, or you think you can take 2 at 1, do you think Burrow passes 2?
I think
if Joe Burrow's available for the Redskins.
Burrow's going before Tua in all scenarios. In my mind, it wasn't that way necessarily true, but now I think that's the only way it goes. It's just
Again,
an
I'm a Tua
interesting
hater, so
concept. It's just an interesting thing to think about with Isaiah
I
Simmons,
would
and
love to see Isaiah Simmons with him, right?
they would be. I mean, you'd be talking about two of the best defensive college athletes in the past decade, basically. I mean, going on the field at the same time. I mean, the Giants
I love
basically
it.
lapped the draft last year, and suddenly they could have. And Simmons could maybe help with that pass rush that seems to not be there too. So it's interesting. I don't know if I love it or hate it, but I like it for big play upside across all defensive players there. But I don't know if I love it for Jabril Peppers' tackling upside because seems like what's his face Simmons is going to just be a beast in the middle of the field. So
People do not want to hear this. Isaiah Simmons is better than Alec Ogletree when Alec Ogletree was young.
oh yeah, I believe it.
But
Ogletree was a beast.
Ogletree was savage. Let's not get that twisted. But Simmons is better. He's a better prospect overall. They would love to make the comparison to how fast he comes downhill to Lawrence Taylor, and they would love to see that. But I don't think they go there, man. They got to protect their line. The line is the pick for the Giants. Unless they do something more in free agency, like go after Trent Williams, which is still there. But tell me this. Would you give Trent Williams for your fourth pick in the draft? No, you wouldn't. So,
I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That's going to be an interesting one.
All right, I'm going to read back our top five. My top five defensive back dynasty guys are Jamal Adams, Budda Baker, Landon Collins, Derwin James, and Jabril Peppers in that order. And then Jared's are Jamal Adams, Derwin James, Budda Baker, Landon Collins, and Jabril Peppers. Same top five, a little different order. So we're going to finish out the back half here. My number 6 defensive back in dynasty right now is Tracy Walker. Defensive back, safety for the Detroit Lions. The story for him is really just tackles. I mean, he had 103 tackles in 13 total games, only started 12 games, 8 pass deflections, 6 tackles for loss. So he's averaging half a tackle for loss almost basically every game.
And he left 2 games early.
Yep. And he's basically averaging about 9 tackles a game. And he didn't necessarily come out of nowhere. I mean, there were some people that were kind of on to him a little bit last year as a rookie. He did some things that well, and he got some praise from the coaching staff. And then basically last year he took over that strong or defensive back safety position. And Quandre Diggs kind of got relegated to a background role and eventually was traded to the Seattle Seahawks. So, Tracy Walker, I mean, he had a great season. I mean, we were just talking about Jabril Peppers. If he could get to 100 tackles, on a 16-game pace, Tracy Walker got there on 13 games. I mean, he basically started, strutting into that like it was ain't no thing. And I have him on a couple of rosters, and I'm really looking forward to what this next year, a full 16 games, is going to look like for him. What are your thoughts on Tracy Walker? I'll just go ahead and read off. Jared's got Tracy Walker. Do you have him in your top 10? No, I guess you probably have him like down 11 or 12.
I have him number 11. Let me tell you why. And I love Tracy Walker, and everybody knows I was on the Tracy Walker train. However, the knee injury scares me. Okay,
that's fair.
He did it twice last year, which on the second one took him out for good. He was done for the season on the second one. They should have never even brought him back, right? It's not like you were going to the playoffs. Why did you worry about bringing – you already traded away your entire defensive backfield, it seems like. Yeah. And then your stud, you tried to bring him back too early. Now, maybe it was a depth thing or whatever, but that kid's too good to worry about. And maybe this extra time off will be good for him. I'm just a little worried about it. Now, don't get me wrong. When he's on, kid is fire. He's the real deal. Could be, and if he stays healthy, he's without a doubt in the top 10, especially for Dynasty. But I'm a little worried about the knee. That's the only thing. Only reason he's number 11 for me.
That's fair. I've got him at 6. I'm not quite as concerned, but it's definitely something worth noting. All right, Jared's number 6 is John Johnson, the safety for the I almost said St. Louis Rams, the LA Rams. 2018, because he got hurt last year, so he was a little banged up, not a complete season. But his 2018 stats are still quite something to look at. 119 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, 11 pass deflections.
Bro, he was on fire last year before he got injured.
Yeah, 4
he had a
interceptions.
monster game.
2018. Yeah, what was he? Let me see what he's doing here in 2019. 51 tackles in 6 games.
Yeah, bro.
What?
Yeah, he was on pace for what, 180 tackles or something like that.
Whoa!
It was ridiculous.
2 pass deflections. I know he had at least a fumble recovery one somewhere in there last
year.
I'll
put it this way: if it wasn't for the injury last year, he'd have been my top 3.
Yeah, he was gonna blow the doors off everybody's tackle numbers. Golly.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that our man Steve is a John Johnson homer. Like, he loves it, dude.
John Johnson junkies. Unite.
The John Johnson junkies. So let me tell you why he's here. I mean, look, the stats don't lie. 119 tackles 2 years ago. 50-something tackles last year in 6 games. 4 interceptions, 2 quarterback hits, 3 tackles for loss. Now you want me to give you the number 1 reason why he's in my top 6?
Yes.
Corey Littleton's gone.
Yep. Oh.
John Johnson just became Buda Baker and then some.
Yeah.
Because
I think he could have a world-breaking season for IDP this next year. It's set up like that.
We love certain guys like Jesse Bates and, Williams, and now we got my man here and John Johnson and Taylor Rapp. Maybe is he in my top 10? We'll see.
He's coming up. Don't worry.
There's certain guys. I mean, there's a good 4 or 5 safety duos that we love. The Rams definitely have one right now. So 100%. Especially with getting rid of Littleton, which was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's going to be hard to replace in the draft. I mean,
and then the Raiders got him cheap.
Yeah. I mean, especially considering his skill set. I mean, it's not like they went and overpaid for him. Like, they basically got a pretty good deal on him, considering he's one of the best linebackers in the league. I mean, I'd rather have Corey Littleton than, at this point, probably even like a guy like Bobby Wagner. You know what I mean? Luke Kuechly, I mean, he was kind of falling off last year. Littleton's, 25?
Yeah, bro. Nothing against my man, against All-Pro Joe. But who got paid more? All-Pro Joe or Corey Littleton? But barely, right?
Yeah. Not by much, but I think he did just get a hair more. I think Schobert's deal was a little bit longer, though.
Yeah.
But John Johnson was Jared's number 6. Tracy Walker was my number 6. At number 7 here, which is interesting, we have each a safety from the Bengals. I have Von Bell as my number 7 guy for defensive backs in Dynasty right now. 13 games this last year. He had 89 tackles, 5 pass deflections, 4 tackles for loss, 4 quarterback hits, a touchdown, 5 fumble recoveries. Guys, I don't know how many people had him out there on their roster. I ended up playing against him multiple times because I was an idiot and did not draft him where I should have, like I told myself to. And every time I came up against this guy, he had one of these fumble recovery games, or these forced fumble games, and it would just ruin my day, basically. He just destroyed me every time I played him. And then Jared has Sean Williams, who finished in the top 5 last year. Dude had 114 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 quarterback hits, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections. He was a tackling machine this last year.
So top 5 2 years in a row for Sean Williams. Let's talk about that. 2 years in a row, Sean Williams. His rookie year and his sophomore season, both over 100 tackles, both top 5 safeties. Again, they had Jesse Bates. I'm wondering about that. Are they trying to move on? Because Bates, he ain't stopped playing, but you ain't getting rid of Williams.
Yeah, and it's something I had a hard time really. I'm still struggling with it, kind of, because there's 3 safeties right there who all had basically 90 tackles or more last year. Now they're all 3 on the same team. Whose playing time gets cut down, or who's going to start sharing that role? I saw Mike Clay's projections. His projections right now, he has Sean Williams pretty much relegated to a background role. I said so. I commented on it. I was like, you really think that Von Bell, you really think Sean Williams is going to lose that many snaps though after being such an Iron Man the last 2 years? And he said, I was like, don't you think they might play more 3 safety sets, kind of like the Cardinals did 2 years ago or Houston did 2 years ago? Because they have two guys with 2 really good skill sets, and you'd think they want to get them both on the field, especially with their complete and total lack of linebacker.
Well, look at the tackle. Look at the tackle for losses, right? Look at the pass deflections. You can go back and forth both sides, pretty much the same, right? They kind of play the same role.
Yeah, the strong safety.
Right? So
I think Sean Williams, I don't know. Sean Williams, didn't he have 5 interceptions a couple of seasons ago? I mean, he can be a ball hawk at times.
Sean Williams is the real deal. He's not going away. So
that's what I was saying. I just have a hard time seeing
Jesse
him
Bates
lose.
is right there too. So one of them is going to go be the nickel. And it's probably going to be either Von Bell or Jesse Bates. Just because Sean Williams is too good of a tackler. He's sure. I mean, he's played 42 games now? Because he played 16 games his first year. So both those guys solid picks. I love Von Bell with the Saints. I don't love him as much with the Bengals because Jesse Bates is not going anywhere.
Well, I still think, in long-term dynasty, they're both proven commodities. So, I don't think that either of them is going to leave you hanging this next year, and especially on the Bengals defense where they should see a lot of snaps, and we have 2 seasons in a row where, their safeties are going over 100 tackles. Maybe Jesse Bates is the odd man out. Maybe he does, move down in the slot. Who knows? We'll have to see how it shakes out, but there's value there. So don't think just because one guy came in that neither of these guys are worth anything in your leagues. Don't let anybody convince you of that.
My man Vic asked about a rookie's IDP week on the safety side. Yes. If we're talking about all around, we're gonna talk about that in a later show on what we expect, especially after the draft, because I think a lot of it when it comes to rookies this coming year is going to be where a player plays.
Yeah, who's there? Where'd you get drafted? And who's there in front of you, or when you walk on the field? It's going to be a lot of that.
So we'll do a show on that after the draft for sure. We're definitely going to do a show during the draft, so we'll get there.
Yeah, we might be on the Expand the Box Score channel with the other guys from the network. We might do our own thing. We're not 100% sure how it's all going to shake out yet, but I think it'd be fun to do that because, we get offense and defense, just back boom, boom. In every pick, we could have, some legitimate commentary on. So
there's going to be a ton of offense taken this year.
So. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're 100% right. Last year would have been the year. All right, well, my number 8 guy is a guy we already talked about, is John Johnson. We talked a little bit about him earlier. He was Jarod's number 6. He's my number 8. 3 tackles for loss again, 11 pass deflections. That's big. 4 interceptions in 2018. And kind of like Jarod said, it's a marriage of opportunity. Corey Littleton's gone. Their offense seems to be a little less potent than it used to be, and there should be there's 145 vacated tackles just laying around with Corey Littleton gone. I don't think Micah Kaiser or whoever these other guys they have on that team right now are going to take care of that. They might. Nobody thought Corey Littleton was going to rise up the ranks quite like he did, but I think it's feast mode this season, 2020, for John Johnson. And going forward, he's under 25 years old. He's a good safety. So
he's the real deal. Again, 50-some tackles in 6 games. Yep. Bro.
Number 8 for Jarod is also my number 9, so let's talk about him together. We got Jonathan Abram. Now, he didn't really get to play much last year because he got hurt in that very first game, but his draft capital should tell you everything you need to know about him. In that one game he played, he only played like half the game, and he had 5 tackles. So his final senior year, he had 9 tackles for loss, 99 total tackles, 5 pass deflections, 3 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. And he's basically known as a hitter, right, Jarod?
Oh yeah, he's trained. That's what he got hurt. Doing hitting. So he needs to lay off a little bit. He needs to take a little book from Charles Woodson. Like, listen, lay your wood when you can lay your wood, but you need to back off a little bit because you're a general in the backfield. So you need to be the guy that is the ball hawk, that is the roamer. You need to be the leader on the backside. But dude, with Corey Littleton in front of him now, bro, give me some Jonathan Abram. right?
Yeah.
Because you can't roam in front of him, which means I expect 2 or 3 interceptions, maybe 4. I'm not expecting the sacks, maybe 1 or 2, right? Maybe 5 or 6 tackles for loss. But I see the pass deflections. I can see 85 to 105 tackles, and I can see, some forced fumbles and fumble recovers. Yeah, all day long. Love Jonathan Abram. Been all over him. He's the real dude.
Yeah, highly regarded coming out last year. It's a real bummer that he didn't get to play the whole season. He had a pass deflection and 5 tackles last year, and I think he played half that game, maybe that first quarter. So he was already kind of getting it done for you, and he's going to be, one of the leaders on that defense going into Las Vegas. Was he the very first pick for them last year, or was that Jacobs? I don't remember who was first. I think it was Abram.
Who are you taking? The Raiders?
Yeah, last year in the draft. I think Abram went ahead of Jacobs, right?
Didn't they take Clelin Ferrell 4?
Yeah, they take Clelin Ferrell, and then it was Abrams, and then it was Jacobs, right? I think
they might have got Jacobs second. I don't remember that.
Anyway, he got the first-round capital on a team that's rebuilding. They believe in him. He's not going to lose that job. He's going to get those tackles for you.
They just keep getting better and better. Watch out for the Raiders, man. They're going to give the Chiefs all they want this year.
Yeah.
And you don't want to hear it, but it's true.
I won't stop all that talk right now. You crazy.
Rivalry games, man. You
give them 2 years. I think they need to settle in first. I don't think they're going to do great this year.
They got some studs.
Jarod's number 9 for Dynasty defensive back rankings before the draft is a guy I love who is not in my top 10, and I'll probably be shamed for this because I've pounded the drum for him a lot. He's actually my defensive back 14, but Minkah Fitzpatrick, the GOAT.
I cannot believe
look at that number. Guess how many tackles he had? 69. Could you land on a better number?
No.
1 tackle for a loss, 1 quarterback hit, 3 fumble recoveries, 5 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 touchdowns. This is the guy that the Miami Dolphins didn't want. I know he doesn't get a ton of tackles, which is kind of a lot of people like, it's why he sucks for IDP. But he kind of makes up for it in the fact that he's a big play waiting to happen, And it's not like he can't have a good season. He had 80 tackles his first year. He had 70 this last year. If he can start settling into that 75 to 95 range and get me some big plays along the way, that's exactly what Tyrann Mathieu does. He's one of the most solid second defensive backs your team could ever have, So I love it. You've got him higher than me.
He's not going to get burned. Okay. He's a ball hawk. He's good for 5 interceptions, right? 2 forced fumbles. He had 2 touchdowns, a tackle for loss, a quarterback hit. Now, I don't see him being the come downhill guy, but I'm telling you right now, you might as well mark it down. I'm saying 80 tackles this year, 80 to 90 tackles. Because with Big Ben back, people got to play. People are going to have to come after the Steelers. And Minkah Fitzpatrick is a stud. You were banging the drum. He had 6 weeks in a row or 5 weeks in a row he had an interception?
He was just on fire from weeks 3 to 8. He won me a week basically every week in a row. And he slowed down after that. But the big play just kept coming, and it just kept coming. And when you think
his snap count dropped a lot towards the end because they realized they weren't making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So
you got Cameron Hayward in the front, you got Bud Dupree, you have TJ Watt, and you've also got, Devin Bush could get a little pressure. The quarterbacks are on their heels throwing the ball, and that's why Minkah Fitzpatrick is a walking big play, because he's going to intercept those, disrupted off-key throws, and he's going to be able to sniff that stuff out so fast. And like you said, this next year with Big Ben coming back, Mark Barron's gone, people are going to have to throw deep. They're not going to be able to throw these cute little underneath. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Steelers are going to get back to what they do. They're going to run it up. And then Minkah Fitzpatrick is, like you said, he's going to clean house on the back end. He's going to get some big plays, and he could push into that 80 tackle range. I love that. It's a solid projection, I think. But I'm kind of bummed that I don't have him in my top 10 now. But
I'm shocked. That's your dude. So I'm a little shocked.
Hey, it's still early, Maybe he's rising as we speak, shall we say? So that was Minka Fitzpatrick coming in for Jarod at number 9. And then our last guy, he comes in at number 10 for both of us, a guy that we both love. I loved watching him last year coming into the draft. He was a guy that I wanted to get on some of my teams, and I just never managed to last year. I got him on 1 or 2, but I made sure to put him on some Dynasty teams this year, some of the early drafts I've done. And that's another defensive back for the LA Rams, Taylor Rapp.
I'm all about this. 15 games, 100 tackles, 8 pass deflections, 2 interceptions. When John Johnson went down, he proved that he's the real deal.
Yeah.
And there's no way that he doesn't stay on the field and they become one of the best duos in the league. I love Taylor Rapp at 10. And I get he's 15 for some people, or top 15. Our buddy Zach Mags on here, he's definitely in his top 15. For me, he's number 10. I think he's number 10 for you too, right? So
yeah, well,
he's the real deal.
The thing I really like about him is he's a hitter. I mean, if you watch him play, he is another big hitter, kind of like John Johnson, kind of like Budda Baker. He's rangy. He's got a very good build for a safety. He looks like a Derwin James almost. And, you got to love the fact that Eric Weddle's gone now. I mean, it is John Johnson and Taylor Rapp's, they're the ones holding it down back there. There's no question about it. It's not going to be who's playing, because last year Weddle came in and Weddle was good and John Johnson was good and Taylor Rapp were all good when they played, but one of them's gone now. So if anything and Littleton's gone. So Taylor Rapp and John Johnson might end up being both top 5 defensive backs easily. They've got the skill. They're in line to get all that work. So I love it. He's a guy that I've been targeting in drafts. You can get him as a defensive back too right now in a lot of your dynasty startups. And I feel comfortable with him as a low-end defensive back 1, going into the next 2 or 3 years easily. So
do you have somebody that's on your radar, not in your top 10, that guys like Taylor Rapp?
Not on my radar to make a push. Let me look here at my Dynasty Nerds ranking. Some guys that you won't see on our top 10, but that we still both love. Tyrann Mathieu, Harrison Smith, Jordan Poyer, Jesse Bates. Those are guys all are within my top 20. I'm sure they're in your top 22. Those guys are those beasts. On my radar is Khari Willis for the Colts. He was a rookie last year. Loki had a okay-ish season, and, Clayton Gathers doesn't seem to really – I don't even know if he's with the Colts anymore. And Malik Hooker is a free safety, and he hasn't really, produced a whole lot. I think Khari Willis gets all that work this next year. And I think playing with, now DeForest Buckner down there in the middle, Justin Houston and Darius Leonard, I think that he's in a prime spot to, have a good season. That's for me.
Yeah, I like it. For me, another guy who was a rookie last year who – I love, and I think that he could end up becoming a real great person, real great player, Darnell Savage. Yep. I love his spot. They love him enough to move on from Adrian Amos. So, I love Savage there. I think they have one of the best defensive backfields in the league.
I agree.
Kind of hard not to like Darnell Savage, and him being so young, and I think he's a guy that people really got to look at. He's definitely a sleeper.
Yeah, Blake Martinez leaving. I know that Kirksey's there now, but it should open up the door for Savage to take that step this next year. I have him looking at my rankings here. I have Khari Willis at 23 in my rankings going into the year right now on Dynasty Nerds, and Darnell Savage at 29. So both.
Oh, speaking of the Packers, I'm hearing rumors they love me some Kenneth Murray.
Ooh, really? That would be cool. That would kind of hurt my Kirksey shares, but I would kind of be okay with it.
I know that, I give Curtis Bolton a lot of love on the channel. Obviously, we've done an interview with him. He already told me he'd do another interview with me after spring training. He's all about it, obviously, because they at one time had over 20 tackles in one game. So, again, my top Dynasty rankings, though, in this, Jamal Adams, Derwin James, Budda Baker, Landon Collins, Jabril Peppers, John Johnson, Sean Williams, Jonathan Abram, Minka Fitzpatrick, and Taylor Rapp. Yep. Loving this group for me overall. I was a little shocked.
And then my top 10 were Jamal Adams, Budda Baker, Landon Collins, Derwin James, Jabril Peppers, Tracy Walker, Von Bell, John Johnson, Jonathan Abram, and Taylor Rapp. So that is our top 10 Dynasty defensive back rankings. This is, April 13th, so the NFL draft is a little over a week away. So this will all probably change. We'll do another show about this, in the near future. Maybe in our next show, we'll go out to our top 12, or maybe we'll do a 2-part series and we'll go all the way out to our top 24. I don't know. I mean, we can do whatever the heck we want, right? What do you got to do?
So, I'm down to that. I know that Vic just asked about Justin Reed at Houston. I know as well as you know, we've talked about it's very possible Eric Reed could go there. I know they like him. To have Justin Reed and Eric Reed, they're family members together. Justin Reed is definitely in my top 20 Dynasty rankings.
Yeah.
And he was, me, I was really high on him, but he just got injured last year.
He got injured early, and he played with an injury most of the season, apparently. So.
Yep, the whole season he was injured. So I love Justin Reed. And if it wasn't for the injury, I love him dynasty-wise, for sure.
Yeah. I've got him at 20 in my rankings, and, I think he's going to have a bounce-back season for sure. But, IDP Army, guys, let us know if you liked these series of shows that we just did. We did the top 10 linebackers for Dynasty, our top 10 defensive line edge rusher guys for fantasy, and then our top 10 IDP defensive backs. Leave us comments, hit us up on Twitter, leave a review of the show if you're on Apple, all that good stuff. And let us know if you want us to do our next show to go out and maybe do our top 24. We can probably work that out for you. We're pretty nice guys. We're pretty easygoing about things like that.
So also, we since we're all sitting back and doing whatever, we have been working on our shirt ideas, and I think that we might have come up with one that we all like in general. So $22 per shirt. We're not making any money off this, guys, because they're nice shirts, front and back. They will be fun, so just go with that.
Yeah, if you guys want them, hit us up. We will definitely try to get that for you. Maybe as we get closer to the season, we could do some giveaways or something. So, brought Steve back in here. What's up, Steve? How'd we do?
Did great, man.
Oh, thanks, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I was cracking up. I was cracking up, man.
Yeah,
you guys had me laughing. You had me crying. It was an emotional show.
It's like
an emotional show.
Yeah, it was a roller coaster.
Nice.
I mean, I was questioning why Jordan didn't have Minka Fitzpatrick.
Right.
Minka in his top 10. How?
He's in my top 15. Okay, come on.
Nobody has beat the drum more than Jordan.
No.
And I'm looking at my rankings, and I'm like, I probably need to slide him to 15.
Top 5. Oh, jeez.
Top 5. He can be a top 5 weekly play. Depends on who they're playing. I mean, if they're playing Baker Mayfield,
leave my dog alone.
Slide him in there.
I mean, how many? I think did he throw like 20-something interceptions last year? That's a Minka Fitzpatrick money game right there.
Yeah, he was he was second to
Jameis.
Yep.
Famous Jameis.
Ain't nobody want to talk about that though.
Nope.
They want to talk about it.
Hey, plenty of people have talked about that. They're questioning Baker Mayfield being the guy there.
I know.
Talking about all his commercials he was making.
Yeah. And that's why I'm glad. Hopefully he takes a back seat to that, because I'm telling you, I think he throws 32 touchdowns this year. Deal with it.
He can be that guy.
To the 32 touchdowns to the other team.
He got everything around him he needs.
32 and 8 happening.
He just got to do it.
No.
So we'll see. All right. Well, if there's any more
20 and 15, maybe
20 and 15.
Mm-hmm. I'll take that bet.
Yeah. Hat bet.
Hat bet.
You know what? Right now I'm not going to shave my beard.
You're not going to shave your beard? Oh, we going to shave beards?
Beard shave.
Oh, I look weird without my beard.
That's why it'd be awesome.
All right. Well, I wrote down your bet, so now we know.
Okay.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I guess guys, follow along on the Twitter sphere. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, on Anchor, on Spotify. Like all our stuff on Twitter. We put a lot of good info out there for IDP people in the community. We do all this stuff pretty, free. I mean, at cost to us. So we do it because we love the community. We do it because we want more people to play IDP fantasy football. This stuff is the shit. So get in with them. And if there's nothing else, Jarod, take them away.
Everybody, thanks for coming on. And as always, let's go, let's go, let's go.